このハンカチ使って。
愛情くん、私たちのどっちと付き合うのよ。
Okay, so with 2023 almost over in just a few days, but as me posting this, we got like a day or two before it's over. I wanted to come out and talk about the best like harem/romance anime of 2023. I know it's not Rent a Girlfriend.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But it's gonna be 100 girlfriends who really like you / love you. It's really good. It is really good. And to me, it's one of those shows when I first watched it, I'm like, this show's ridiculous. But when I first heard about it, I'm like, this show sounds absolutely insane. Especially since we've all seen that one panel. If you read enough manga, you've seen that panel where the guy's describing like the girls he likes like in super detail. Like my friend Kaz, he's the one that recommended this show, this series. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be waiting for this because he recommended it and he says it's really funny, it's really good, a lot of people enjoy it, and I gotta say thanks for the recommendation, Kaz. If you are watching it, it is really good, absolutely top tier comedy. It's kind of like, how should I phrase it? It's kind of like the Konosuba of like harem/romance. Well, kind of like of the harem anime, because it takes every concept like known to man and then just like mumbles it together and just like ups the antics by like 1,000. It gets really insane, and I really love the neat references, how it references like a lot of pop culture, a lot of like other romance anime like tropes and stereotypes and shows. It's really interesting because I think in the finale we actually did get like a silent voice reference with them jumping in the water, and like we just get like a lot of cool references. We got the Tokyo Ghoul reference in like episode 1 as well, which is pretty interesting. I know the manga goes even further beyond that with the references. It's really insane. I think they do a One Piece reference at one point, which is kind of crazy, kind of wild that this series can actually get away with that. But the show itself, like despite like having such a weird name and having a strange concept, so the concept basically is the guy basically goes to a temple. He's never really had a girlfriend all his life, kind of like me, just kidding. But he kind of goes to a temple, wishes for God to give him a girlfriend, and God says, okay, you'll get a girlfriend, but you're gonna get 100 of them. And he freaks out saying, okay, I'm just gonna break up with all of them. And God's like, no, you can't do that or else they die. So by force, like he has to like all these girls, make them fall in love with him, or else all of them are gonna die, and there's no way out of it. So like the story is essentially him, he is going along, falling in love with all these girls, 100 of them, to make them like his soulmates or whatever the case is, and just keep them happy. If not, they die, which is actually a pretty interesting show. The concept itself, when I first heard about it, I'm like, this is kind of strange. Keep in mind, I'm anime only. I haven't really actually read the manga, so no spoilers, please. I just want to talk about the first season. But the first season, we get introduced to like about 6-7 girls, including Hakari's mom, which, not that Hakari, not the JJK Hakari. We get Hakari, possibly the best girl in the series, the one who probably has the most development next to Kana, which is the tsundere girl. Like this one, she's the pink-headed girl who's really thick. But yeah, I really like her character. Her character just kind of reminds me a lot of Darkness from Konosuba, where she's really kind of out there, while Kana's kind of like Nino from the quintessential quintuplets, really tsundere, basically all the tsundere tropes. Even in the show, it goes out of its way to make like a lot of fourth wall or third wall breaks where they acknowledge we as the audience are watching them, which is kind of scary. Yet it's pretty interesting how the show like acknowledge how the show is basically self-aware of its own actions, how it's basically crazy and stupendous, like all the moments that happen within it. Like we get the classic beach episode / pool episode, which goes really crazy. It's interesting. It's just interesting. We also get like the typical bathhouse tropes. We get the typical like school tropes, whatever. We get the day tropes. It's really interesting. And what I really like about the show is the way it handles its characters. Unlike other like harem shows, which don't really focus too much on the narrative, which don't really like focus their time on each character, it just kind of builds them up for like a little bit and just kind of disregards them. This show goes out of its way to like completely give singular episodes to those dedicated characters. I really can't name them all off the top of my head, but like Hakari, she's basically like like the main star of this series next to Kana, the tsundere girl. Both of them have like a weird dynamic that I don't know if I'm allowed to mention on this platform, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. Then we get the introduction of some of the other girls, which honestly I can't really remember the name of, but like each of them have like their own singular episodes and they all kind of get along. There's like friction within the tension. As we get closer and closer to the finale, they end up calling themselves the Rentaro family. I'm probably butchering that name. The Rentaro family, and it just gets really hilarious how they all just develop and get along. It's pretty interesting. Like the show has a really well done concept. Well, like the concept itself is kind of stupid, but the story and the plot wise, it's really good. Some people, like I've seen on the comments, say this is just a down bad show. This show has no plot whatsoever. Well, I agree, but I have to disagree because it does have a plot. The main character, Rentaro, basically has to just like make these girls happy and just do whatever he can just to please them, which to me is a pretty interesting aspect because most shows you typically have like, oh hey, I want to be with her because she's my childhood friend, or oh I really want to like her because I just want to like her. But with this show, it just goes out of its way to be like, nah, I want all of them. I gotta keep them all happy. And even the mom like of the main character just gets like wrapped up in the group, which is really hilarious. I don't want to spoil too much about the show if you haven't seen it. Just know like the bizarre concept, everything about it is crazy. It's probably the best like horror series that I've seen like ever. Like I said, it's like the Konosuba of romance anime. It's pretty interesting. As far as best romance anime, I think this is probably one of the best like that came out in 2023. Horror wise, I think it does it better than a lot of shows I've seen, such as Nisekoi, such as Quintessential Quintuplets. It just really adds more spotlight to all the side characters, even like the main star. Like you really get to delve deep in their mind, especially the main girl like Hakari. She's not really the main girl, she's more one of like 1 out of 100, but she gets like more spotlight compared to the other ones next to Kana, which is pretty interesting. I really love their dynamic, how they all like understand one another, which is pretty cool. You often in shows like this, it's kind of hard to balance out like the love and hate type relationship, but with this show, this series, I really think it does a pretty fantastic job of balancing each character's emotion pretty well without getting like too complicated or too like out there of a concept, which is pretty good. It's kind of hard to pull off, especially with a show that says 100 girlfriends in the show. Hell, Rent a Girlfriend was kind of hard just because there was 4 characters and they can't really stand each other, or even Kanoho has like 4 characters and they can't really stand each other. But with this, they all kind of get along, even though they have their little differences. They pretty much get along for the most part, and like as more characters get added, like the story continues to develop, and I'm pretty excited to see where this show goes further in season 2. I know towards the end of season 1 we were teased with a bunch of other girls in the series, including one of the maid characters that we saw at Hakari's place. Every time I say Hakari, I keep thinking of Hakari from JJK just because I've seen so many edits on both of them. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, it's really a show that I recommend because it's the funniest show I've seen. Every time I watch it, I got a good laugh out of it. It's a good show. It's really one of my favorite like romances of 2023. And honestly, with season 2, I really hope that they get more crazy. I haven't really read the manga, but I'm debating if I should because I don't know if I want to wait like a year or 2 for this series to air, but I might wait on it. But I would recommend you guys actually go watch it, despite the name, how interesting it sounds. And if you've seen some clips like out of context, they are pretty funny, but if you watch the show, you'll pretty much understand the context within it, which is funny. But I honestly recommend this. Like, if you don't trust me, go look at Kaz's video about like recommendations of this, because it's really a show that you should 100% watch. No pun intended, because 100 girlfriends, 100%. But yeah, you 100% should watch 100 girlfriends who really like you / love you. And with that being said, yeah, that's just my thoughts on this series. It's really good. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on my next video. Happy New Year and whatnot. So yeah, peace.